One is programming. So the Performing Arts Committee has made the bulk of the selections for 26 and starting to go into 2027. So I'm in the process of negotiating and signing off on all of those contracts right now. I hope to be able to launch the whole season over the next couple of weeks. And so you'll be seeing that sort of come out in a big way. Probably 7 performances will launch in the next couple of weeks, just to be able to give people a flavor of what's happening. So that's the Hearth Presents series specifically. And that's the series where we have some granting funds available. So that's satisfying all those grants. On another note, we've, as the Performing Arts Committee, we've also been working on co-presentations and what that looks like. So co-presentations, once again, are kind of spec events, if you will. There's no grant money for them. So the hope is that on co-presentations, we're attracting performances and artists that have a little bit more of a following, that are promotionally savvy. So we're in talks right now with a comedy group as well as a singer-songwriter. So those meetings are underway, and we hope to have, I would say in the next couple of weeks, we also hope to have kind of our whole approach and best practices for co-presentations in place with our Performing Arts Committee. And then on the technical side, I know that there was a tech meeting that you were part of on Tuesday, Lee, as well, is that we're looking to build as a tech committee on what Lee has already very kindly produced for us as far as user manuals for the space in the theater. And now our tech committee is going to get involved again, just for training purposes, to see if there's anything else we need to be doing as a committee to kind of prepare for tech. The other thing too, which I don't know if Lee's going to speak to that on the agenda today, the end of the year is coming quickly. So the tech committee's main raison d'etre, if you will, was to spend some of the money that was raised for equipment in the theater. So I know that the tech committee is working really hard on that to try and get all the purchasing done before the end of the year. Yeah, and that's basically the scoop.
I have an update on that. So I found out that we don't actually have to spend those funds by the end of the year. So we still do have a plan for the majority of the funds, but we don't have the urgency to we won't lose it, is essentially what I've been told.
That's great. It takes the pressure off a little bit, because I know that you're trying to be very thoughtful with everything that you're purchasing. Yeah, that's basically the scoop. And, you know, we'll continue to sort of grow as these things happen. We're excited for Marianne Chetta on Friday. I think that there'll probably be 80 or 90 people for the show on Friday night. So it should be a good one that works for her and what she's bringing to the island. And that's really me kind of in a nutshell, but happy to answer any questions the group might have as well.
I think we're good. Thanks.
Yeah. Well, so I'm just trying to figure out sequencing of things, because I guess we review action items later. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay.
But then at the end, because it tends to derail the structure of the agenda.
Okay.
Start doing big reports on their actions. And
Okay.
but if you want to do it now.
No, that's okay. That's okay. I just thinking that probably Rec and the Hearth need to get together soon to talk programming.
Okay, I'll put an action for that.
Yeah. But then not January, but you know, starting
Programming
April season.
subcommittee meeting.
What's that?
Programming subcommittee.
A programming subcommittee meeting?
Well, it's actually in the MOU, right?
Yeah.
To meet those. So.
It'd be like Sienna, Jillian, Samantha, Jamie, Sasha.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sasha.
Oh. Sienna and Sasha.
Yeah.
Jillian, Jamie, Samantha.
Okay, thank you, Samantha. Do we have any other updates?
So I didn't see the equipment group in your email, so I just left a page there.
There's nothing really much update.
Okay.
But then we're still working. Things I mean, I could give a quick update if you want.
Sound equipment, everything going okay? Sound like
Everything's great. The show went really well. The purchasing towards that has been really good. It's been very helpful to have those things. Also, there are some things that we have ordered for the lighting system, the theatrical lighting system. Also, some really basic things like a psych pipe, for psych, and psych at the bottom, right? Yeah, and just little things that are that weren't included in the very big scope of the Been great.
Any update on the kitchen or concession? Was there concession for straight ups? And was it a fully sold out shows, straight up Seven Hills, and was there concession?
I mean, I don't know exactly their numbers and stuff, but they did have concession. It felt 80-90% full to me or more, like it was quite a full room. Very appreciative audience, and the band really enjoyed it.
Any update on the kitchen?
The kitchen is still proceeding, so we're still waiting on a couple of appliances. We are doing drywall patching because the electrical and plumbing has gone in, but the drywall needs to be done before those things can be completed. So we're currently working on that. And then some appliances are a few weeks away still. It's just how appliances seem to be right now. The tariffs, yeah.
Space.
Can I say something about the concession? I used them for the business summit and that was amazing. I don't know whose brainchild that was to get like the external groups, the IDLC were the ones.
Sherry Ulrich was doing a lot of that stuff as well, so.
This was Alan Sockstead and some parents, but I didn't have to get serving it right. I didn't have to order anything. I didn't calculate costs. I did rent glasses because I wanted to be a little bit fancy, but ideally they would have their own glasses. They came, they left. All I had to do was make conversation about the weather. It was amazing.
We used them for rough crossing, they were fantastic.
So how did they
Yeah.
pull that off? They had caterers that had a serving it right, or they had?
No, they've got it.
Pardon?
They've
For the
got it.
liquor serving.
They've got it, and then like when we do events,
Maybe they brought the food.
No,
No, this is just the bar,
Just the bar.
because we had a dinner, so there wasn't any popcorn or peanuts or anything like that.
Okay.
But often we have to like, if there's leftover, to guess how much people are gonna drink and it's leftover, how do you hide it from Lee in the office? No, just kidding. How do you hide it? What do we do with the leftover? There's kind of that thing, but they just have it. And they bring it and they just take care of everything. It's just, it's really good. It's such a relief.
Yeah, I'll just add too that I've spoken to another local group. I just took a meeting with them last week. They were also interested in doing concession services. So as you know, I've been trying to advertise to get folks to assist with concession. We've got great volunteers, Mimi among them, that help us out for the hearth shows. But for other people like Toady and anything else that happens, IDLC, and then I will find out, I guess this week, whether or not the local gymnastics group is interested in doing that as well. So, more the merrier. And again, just a reminder that any of sort of the service equipment that we have for the hearth that's locked up there, if one of these groups wants to use it, they're welcome to use it. We'll share, not the point of sale system, but everything else they're welcome to use. So I'm glad that that's working out well.
Yeah, good.
Questions, Samantha?
Mm-hmm.
Are you still on the search for people to do such work, to be contractors for concessions?
I am, but as we discussed before, I don't think it will become a real issue until the new year. I would really like to, because we've got, 8 odd performances plus potentially 4 co-presentations in 2026. I would really like to have a hearth group that is capable of doing this. So keep that in mind. I've chatted to a couple of people. So I think in end of January, beginning of February, we'll be beating that drum again and hoping to have a few people who can work independently. Because to Sienna's point in reporting about all this amazing success in the theater, there's going to be more users. And so, if we can have some great plans in place, whether it be the Hearth or IDLC or another nonprofit organization taking care of the concessions, that's great. It just helps everybody locally all the way around.
and it does also mean that we really do need to get guidelines written up about usage of the space, because there's a lot of assumptions that users make about their access to storage, their access to equipment, like anything, right? So, and that will have to go along with the kitchen, but it does concern me the more and more user groups in there that
I agree. I think the big thing is that we take everything away at the end of the night. So, no alcohol is stored there. Right now we have a small amount of storage in one cupboard that we arranged with Lee, and that'll last as long as it lasts, but we've just got cups in there, and you know what I mean? There's non-perishables or things that have a long shelf life. But yeah, I think that we'll work off what Lee's created for the kitchen and then elaborate as we need to on the rest of the concession.
I'm just curious about, it's kind of a slower time for many of the caterers and restaurants that end of January and February. So I'm just wondering if there's been a reach out to some of the local businesses. I don't want to mention names, as we've been asked maybe not to do, but have there been local contacts connected with in terms of wanting to do a little bit of concessions and the work that we're talking about for the shows in the end of January and February? Some of our local vendors that do have Serving It Right, they do have caterers. I can give examples. I could reach out as well. So maybe we can coordinate.
I can speak to it a little bit, just in the sense that there's not a lot of money in the concessions. So that's where the challenge comes in, is I think that Toady,
That's why you said, is that why you said nonprofit?
Yes, exactly. So the most successful shows to date, I think, are the Toady shows, Fraser, because you do it over 4, or King Baby perhaps, because you do it over 4 performance nights. So my understanding is that you make a couple of $100 a night. So when you've got the one-off shows, in terms of the effort that's involved for people to be able to make a couple of $100 net, I don't know that there's enough sort of skin in the game, if you will, for some of the restaurants in town. Certainly, I anticipate if we're doing, if we get into doing a full day world music festival or something, then I can see where there's a nice opportunity for people to come and make some revenue. But for right now, the smaller nonprofits are willing to do it. And, it's good for the community. And if they make $100 or $150, they're okay with that. Certainly, if the theater gets busy enough and there's enough demand, then and people want to be spending money at a concession, then why not involve local businesses as well? But I think maybe that conversation is just a bit premature, because we're just not driving, the revenue just isn't there for that conversation yet.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think it's like awesome to get all these organizations involved and if they're volunteering, and like IDLC has been so amazing, but I do know that they were like saying how it is quite tiring. It's a lot of work for not a ton of payoff. And so I think I'd like to be careful with asking IDLC to do like every concession, for example, like saying, oh, IDLC will do it, IDLC will do it, because they're going to say yes a whole bunch of times, then they'll probably get burnout. So if gymnastics wants to get involved, that's awesome. We had Bow and Island Pride partner with us for Rocky Horror, and they did the concession for Rocky Horror, and they had so much fun doing it. I know that they made a little bit of money. And I think it's really interesting and fun too, to have an organization that like kind of aligns with the theme of the event. Like Pride and Rocky Horror kind of go hand in hand. Rex partnering with the Trail Society in the new year for an event that we're releasing tomorrow. Well, I guess we're releasing it today. We're doing the Mountain Film Festival, the Vancouver International Mountain Film Festival. It's exciting. 2 days on the weekend. And the Trail Society is going to do our concession for that, which is awesome because it's like kind of aligned, like it's on theme. So I think like spreading the wealth and asking these groups, like we kind of thought of those groups individually of saying they might be interested, and like these groups might not think, oh, I could do concession at the theater. That's not really on their, like in their brain. But if we reach out or recommend to like just ask a group, if you think they might be good, ask them. If they want to do a fundraiser, ask them. That would be awesome. But I think like having that concession plan that I know Samantha was working on, I don't know if we have that, like that kind of like how to volunteer concession guide that we were working on, having that like really locked in so we can make sure that everybody's like aligned with running the concession. Obviously it goes hand in hand with the kitchen. That should be a priority so that we can like share the wealth for all these concessions.
Yeah, and I will say we've got to start on the draft document. And when I met with the gymnastics group last week, I kind of talked their representative through just through all of it so that they have an understanding and just to be honest about how much they could expect to make. The other thing I had mentioned to IDLC is nobody is obligated to do a concession at any point. Like if they don't have the volunteers, or if they feel like there isn't enough revenue in it, nobody should feel obligated to do a concession. But to your point, Sienna, I love the idea of building out the list, and having lots of people that could potentially be on the list that understand how to use the space, and yeah, share the wealth. And also to your point as well is to theme up according to the events that are happening. So I do think that this is going to gel more in the new year when there's just more programming happening and more people are aware of what's going on at the theater. I think that it will naturally grow and establish. But yeah, I'm pretty close to being able to like lock down those guidelines.
It'd be great if you have some of it written, you could share it so we can all work together on that.
Sure.
New feedback.
Okay, should we move on to 5.1? A good little segue.
That was an action, Samantha. Will you share what you have existing for a concession plan?
Yeah, so what I'll do is I'll commit to the draft concession plan. I'll distribute it to this group prior to our next meeting for discussion at the next meeting. Does that meet everybody's needs?
When is that? Is that 3 months from now? When is that?
It's as needed. So
That
Oh,
might be,
sorry, I thought we met monthly.
Yeah, maybe just sharing it.
Yeah.
sooner than that.
The more that the
because-
groups
yeah.
start using the space and become comfortable with their habits. The more
Especially
like,
because we're coming on to December and we're talking about early, we're talking about late January, early February, it's gonna get busy. So
there's a lot happening before then.
yeah, and there's a lot before then too. So I don't think we need to wait till our next meeting.
Okay, well then I'll distribute it in the next couple of weeks. Does that meet your needs? I just want to be able to go through what Lee's done for the kitchen and make sure that everything works together.
Yeah. Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
So moving into what I've done. I've worked on 3 documents. None of them are set. They're definitely in draft mode. So we had our meeting as a subcommittee and we talked about a few things. We realized that some of these conversations are really big conversations, particularly the discount and free events framework, and also the cancellation fees and things like that. They were very big conversations, so it'd be good to have more conversation around them. So those are probably the least ready to go, I would say. But as far as the first one, so 5.1, which is the kitchen use policy, this is just a quick policy to go over the expectations of when somebody is using the kitchen. Just in cleanliness, wear and tear, safety especially, booking it, who gets to use it, getting rid of waste disposal, and how long you're allowed to leave your stuff in there, essentially. The bigger questions to me around it, like there's some obvious things, clean up after yourself, you have to leave it better than you found it, be safe, use things for, don't use appliances for things that they're not intended to be used for. But the bigger questions is like, so who gets to use it, and how do we charge for that? How do we charge for that? And what's included with that? Obviously, I think when somebody is running a concession for a show, it makes complete sense that the kitchen is open because there's all that counter space, there is a sink, there is a fridge, there's possibly not possibly a dishwasher, but they may use the dishwasher, those sort of things. But not all of them will use that, right? Like people selling popcorn probably aren't going to need the stove or the dishwasher. So I have questions around that. And then is there an upcharge for that? Because the truth is kitchens are a lot of work. We all have a kitchen at home. We all know how much work they are. It's even more so when people are using it who are trying to get out of the building at the end of the night, or are in a rush. They have one person and they have 180 people in the theater to take care of, right? So there's going to be a lot of work around, and we're already finding that there is work around concession already, right? That just is natural and comes with it. It's a basic part of using this building. So I think the main structure of the policy as written is okay. There could be some things added. But yeah, my questions are charged to use, who gets to use it?
So thought of like we had a wedding. I mean, they're gonna need a kitchen for sure. And correct me if I'm wrong, one of the original ideas for like a wedding would be the entire facility is booked,
Okay.
right?
Mhm.
As I recall it.
I'm not limiting use to the weight room and
Yeah, I don't see a
Studio.
reason.
But I mean, you wouldn't have a wedding where a bunch of people from the public would be going into the big room and stuff like that at the same time, would you?
we've never said it would be.
That is only, that entrance only.
I mean, the reason I'm bringing it up in with respects to this is that my thought is like for that, when you got that high price rental, it would be possibly already included.
Yeah, I mean. Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna rent everything, that would be.
And we haven't really thought that out, you know, especially
We
since
haven't
there's
with the kitchen,
classes
have we?
all the time, you know, we'd have to. Like if somebody wanted full facility and negated any potential use down that end, there'd have to be some compensation for that
Yeah.
lack.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
wouldn't fit with memberships.
This is like a
Yeah.
2-year-old conversation.
Yeah.
That I'm
Yeah.
finding
Yeah.
a little
But I think
fragment of.
I think maybe where it really connects a little bit more, so like if somebody had the theater, was using the living room as a reception area, was using the flex room as a staging area or dressing room or whatever it might be, like for a wedding.
Mhm.
How would, yeah,
We need to figure out pricing.
yeah, so then, so is the kitchen included? Or even if it's not that, so say it is a toady show
Okay.
and they want to use the kitchen. Because it makes natural sense, right? Like, yeah, right there going in, or the business development, no, business summits, right? I just don't, I don't know, like, I think it's an amenity, right? Like it's a definitely one that should be used. It isn't, it's not a commercial kitchen either. There are a lot of things that come along with a commercial kitchen, which we can't meet right now. Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot more work to do to meet those things. So it sort of limits what you're able to push out of there, but there are things to do. I'm not sure, like, is it an add-on? Right? Like how we were talking about, if you wanted to book, which I think we moved away from, but booking the living room for your event, is that an add-on? Is the kitchen an add-on?
Yes.
But can you use the concession separately, which is what we've done so far, without it being an add-on?
Yeah.
How do you separate those?
I mean, I think for like,
Well-
go for it there, Samantha.
You know, my feeling is, again, you know, the theater's really just sort of getting up and running. Right now, the pricing strategy, the billing strategy charges are around local nonprofits, local organizations, off-island organizations. And I guess my feeling is because it's not a commercial kitchen, it shouldn't be just open to anybody who's using the space at any given time. I think it should be part of the theater rental if people have a concession going, because that makes perfect sense, because we know nobody's going to cook in there because legally you can't. You can, you know, you can store things and use the counters and whatnot. And I think if you do have a full building rental where someone's renting the whole building for a wedding or a business summit or something, there's a possibility of doing a full buyout fee for the whole building that takes into consideration all of these different areas that you're offering up. But my instinct right now is, honestly, talking to everybody locally, nobody can afford it. Like, people can just afford what they're doing right now. And I think if you've already got the theater and you're going to have a concession, why wouldn't we include it for free? I think that charging for it is going to be prohibitive for a lot of the local nonprofit organizations.
Jillian?
Yeah, and I think this is where we need to figure out and find the balance, right? Because not charging it puts all that operational cost spread out to the entire community, right? And if we think a little bit about the evolution of how things have played out a little bit, we wanted the kitchen, we wanted initially the living room as an add-on option. Went on there.
Samantha, I'm just gonna mute you unless you're talking, okay? There's some background noise. And you'll just unmute yourself when you're talking.
Samantha.
It might be us. Might be the background. So we had initially talked about adding the theater, the living room as an add-on option if you were renting the theater. Then we removed that, saying, well, essentially it's the lobby because there's no option, right? And then it was kind of like, oh, well, you can use this counter space because it's just there anyway in the living room. But it's definitely, there's some creep, right? There's some creep in access that's happening. And so I think, I'm not actually saying one way or another if I think we should charge versus not. I'm just saying that we need to acknowledge that there is distinct creep of usage happening for free, right? And we know already that, you know, these rates are highly subsidized and not covering operational costs anyway. So adding an extra hour minimum of custodial work to that rental for the same price, is that fair?
No.
Something I'll just mention to you is, you know, we did a concession for Ballet BC. That show was sold out. We grossed $165 for the concession that night. So having an hour with a custodian is $65 on the overtime rate. At some point, you'd have to make a decision: do we even want to bother having a concession? And I think that would then take away from the quality of the guest experience. So I hear what you're saying, and maybe there's a happy medium about we provide our own garbage bags because you have to remove everything at the end of the night anyway. Maybe it's something we can address in the sort of rules and regulations of usage that then doesn't have an impact onto the muni where you guys are having to cover costs for things. Like, you know, make sure you leave it. Here's the checklist, cleaning checklist. Make sure you leave it clean. If for some reason it's not left clean and there's things, then you will pay a fee for extra cleaning. But yeah, it's just the revenue picture isn't. Yeah, I mean, you know, like again, Toady, about 200 a night on concession. So you just have to be thinking about at what point it becomes not worth it to do the concession.
Yeah, Samantha, I'm kind of along the same lines as you for that as well too. I think for a show concession versus other use might be a bit of a different sort, but we got to find that. We got to find what that is.
Yeah.
And maybe it just comes into a policy question. But like we struggled finding people that would need to run a concession because we just don't have the legs to do a concession, but our audience wants it.
Yeah.
They're now kind of expecting that it's there for shows. So
yeah, and again, this goes back to, you know, us building a nice group of nonprofits on the island, you know, Hearth included, hopefully in the new year, where there's 3 or 4 or 5 of us that can put up our hands to run a concession. And it's worth it not just to put a few dollars in the coffers, but also to connect with the community in a different way, in a different environment. So maybe just spread that around a little bit. But I hear what the municipality is saying, and I do feel it's important to protect the municipality's interests when it comes to things like this. But yeah, again, I think maybe just good rules and regulations to start with is the way to go.
Yeah, and I think we need to look at it in terms of it's not protecting the municipality's interest, it's protecting it's the space, it's the facility, and our role as a joint management committee is about running this space. It's not, and we're all sort of looking at how to manage the space, right? So we're all kind of the host in this conversation.
So to maybe put that simply, the demand is such that when people come for events, they want concession. But our challenge is how to do that economically and with a volunteer base, people that have serving it right, people that are committed to coming.
And there is also
That's it.
there is also an aspect of equitability too, because so if somebody's using the flex room, do they get to use the kitchen for free?
Right.
Right? Or if they're using the meeting room or this room. Do you know what I mean? And so I don't know the answer to it, to be honest, because I hear, you know, like it's an amenity that's in this building that would be, you pass through it to get to the one that we've already said you can use, essentially, right? And then the other thing is like if somebody wants to just rent it for something, right? You're not allowed to sell food out of it, but you are allowed to make yourself food in it if you wanted to. We do have people on island who don't have a kitchen. And so like, how do those uses, how do we manage those uses as well?
So if somebody wanted to rent the flex room for a birthday party and wanted to rent that space to heat up their sausage rolls to serve at the birthday party.
Mhm. Exactly. Well, but that, yeah, sort of separately, but yeah, that's also a thing.
I think like about the theater too, or sorry, about the kitchen, we also have to remember that like we have a fee already set out for the kitchenette and the rental rates policy, which is not for that one, but for the one in the like the staff side of the building. And it is for a public event, $10 an hour. So like, it's not, I know that like it's such a low yield on revenue. Obviously, it's hard, like every dollar counts. But even if you have a 3-hour performance, it's an extra $30. Like it's not,
If that's what the rate.
if that's what it is. But that was our,
And Samantha brought up a good point too, which is that if people rent the space at the minimal amount and it's a standard amount, but then they leave bags of garbage or they leave things behind, then how do you, like, there's a deposit left, or how do you charge them after the fact? So that gets to be a little bit challenging as well. So
Yeah.
I'm all in favor of some kind of deposit left. And this goes back to, again, what is our policy? What is our concession policy going to be? If they're going to be groups that are going to use the concession space and the flex space and the sinks and the counters and the kitchens, if they leave a good amount of garbage and custodial is going to be doing extra hours, it might mean photographing, the garbage and then showing them and then taking the deposit that was left and charging them more. Which probably won't be often, but it will happen.
Yeah, that's a possibility.
Yeah, and damage
We have
to the
damage
space and things like that. So yeah,
It could be
damage
part of
deposits, that safeguards that. So
it would be harder to manage, but there could be like a kitchen use charge. If you're renting the kitchen to use it as a kitchen, or you're renting it to use it as a concession space.
that's what I mean.
Yeah, because if you're doing
something
concession, it's
specific.
just the counter and
Mhm.
maybe the sink and the fridge.
Yeah.
If it's the kitchen, you're using all the counters and the sink and the dishwasher and the stove and the cupboards and potentially any equipment that we have in there. It is like, it would be harder to manage because people will say, oh, I'll just use it for concession, but then they come in and they want to use the stove to heat something up. So again, one of those tricky things, but it could be an option.
Mhm.
Make it less for concession use.
Might be worth considering.
May I ask a question, Lee, about the population of folks on the island because I know there's folks that don't have shower facilities, so they'll come to the gym and they'll shower at the community center. How many folks do you think are going to use it drop-in center style, when it comes to heating up a meal? Like if you made it,
Oh,
is
yeah,
that somewhere you want to go?
I don't know, but that was more my question. Like, is that that is a reality and it is one way that this building is used.
Do kids after school eat up snacks?
That's the question.
We don't
right?
want to get into that,
Because
right?
that's the question, right? So I don't know. I don't know how many people would. I know we have excuse me. We do have a group, or small amount of people that do come in and shower, and it's great. It's what the space is for, right?
Is that included in the evening custodial cleanup?
I'm sorry, say again?
Would that be included in the evening custodial cleaning?
What's that? The shower?
The microwave, the kitchen, like, will that also be added to,
Well, we would definitely have to check it.
right? Yeah.
To make sure it's turned off for one, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, we would definitely be checking it, and
Yeah.
throwing out food and things like that.
Like, for example, at some of the schools, I know IPS has kind of a shared kitchen. And the end of the night, their custodial, they'll check it, but there might be certain days where it's very messy because there was a party or whatever. But so if they're adding another hour to their cleaning, then they add that to their fee. So, that would be consideration as well. If they pass through, no one's used it, no big deal. But if they pass through and there's been an after school event and it's a mess and they add an extra hour, they charge for that. So
Yeah, I mean, that sort of goes back to the damage.
the policy. Mhm.
I'm not sure I'd be in support of just leaving it open and accessible to people at all times.
I think if we want to have a space that
Like
people
that's
can use to heat up their food, like a community microwave that like lives on the concession area might be like a better route. I don't know if leaving a stove that can be left on, open to the community at all hours is a good idea.
And this isn't a need that's been expressed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, but it, no.
Yeah.
Nobody
Winter's
expressed
coming.
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe we talk about it.
And then, so then same question for, so if it is included in, you know, a show that has concession, which does make a lot of sense. What about the other spaces that may need to use it for, you know, somebody has a lunch meeting in here and wants to heat up their soup or whatever it is that they purchased from the Ready and they bring it here, like, how does that work? I don't know, there's a lot of questions about it. Would they be charged? Would they have an extra charge on them for using a different amenity in the space?
Can I say something? This is Jamie.
Jamie?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, hi.
Just listening to everyone and lots of great comments and thoughts. I feel a little bit like everyone's overthinking this and that it's very early in the game. And I feel that if we charge for every little thing, for one, it's a big administrative headache probably for Sienna. And for another, you know, that nickel diming, people notice that. People are like, oh, I just want to use the kitchen to warm up some tea and I have to pay $10. I don't know. I just kind of feel like everyone's overthinking it. And I think this will come with time. If you start to see some real issues, then it's time for a policy, but maybe just let it be for a bit and be a community kitchen. That's what the plan was for it to be used for. And just my opinion, but.
It's a good point.
Well, there was no plan other than calling it a community.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There was no plan. Yeah, but what's
It's a good realistic way of looking at it, right? Soup or something.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I mean, every aspect of the space needs to be managed in some way. And just how much management we put into it. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
It's interesting because I think if you were to walk in a community center in Vancouver, chances are you can't access a microwave that you can use yourself. If you were to walk into a community hall on Denman Island, you can probably walk into that kitchen and do whatever you want, right? So, you know.
Yeah, it's hard to get an answer for.
I mean, do we need an answer today? When
No.
is this gonna be, like, when is all the stuff coming? You said in a few weeks.
I'm hoping.
What if the community kitchen was kind of just managed by like people who are in the building? So if someone comes and is like, I want to heat my soup up on the microwave, you'd say, oh, sure, but like the door's locked. And you say, sure, they unlock it for them. You'd know if they were gonna start cooking a 4-course meal in the kitchen on the stovetop. Like it could be kind of like, it's kind of locked, but you're welcome to use it. And then we'd be able to manage people on how they use it.
Or
Little bit
a
about how that
list
plays
of
out.
guidelines at least.
I just thinking also because it may be like one person a day who might use it. Like it might not be like Jamie said, we might be totally overthinking this. People might not want to use it to heat up their soup at all. It might be one person a week. Once it becomes more than that, then it might start to be a problem. But if it is like something that we want the community to use, and they say, can I heat my soup up? And we say, sure. I don't know. They'd have to find a custodian when we're not here, which is harder, but
Yeah, it would be a front desk responsibility.
yeah.
Going to get a key and opening it for them and.
And it's, you know, it's really, I think it was Liam who said it's easier to pull your socks up than let them down, right? Like it's really hard to take it back once you've said, yeah, come on in and do what you want. It's, wait, we changed our mind. Right? And in a small community, that can be a very difficult thing to pull off.
Do we vote for this? What do we do?
I don't know. I don't think there's anything. I don't know what there is to vote on.
Well, I mean, the one thing is like your kitchen use policy that you've got here. I mean, I haven't looked through it. It's pretty good to me.
Mhm.
I think that's something we could adopt, right?
I think there's some places where it's
not ready.
Yeah.
Well, if it's not ready, then we keep working on it, or we address that right now and talk about
Yeah.
a rental rate.
And if I could make a comment is, you know, I think Lee's done some really good work on this and maybe we need to focus on the policy first. So I've already made a commitment for a concession policy. So let me work in conjunction with what he's created here and go back to Lee and run. I'd prefer to run it past you, Lee, as the facilities manager. And let's at least just get some policies and procedures in place for usage. Yeah, to your point, Jillian, I'm not sure it should be open just on a day-to-day basis. I think that it should be part of a rental or someone using the facility unless there's a special request for it, because otherwise I think there's a lot of room for potential damage, mess, et cetera, et cetera. And to Lee's point, it's pretty tough to take back a policy once you've established it. So maybe let's just come up with some good policies to start with and then deal with the exceptions on a case-by-case basis in the new year.
I think we tend to forget that we are not the first people to ever have a community center. And there's probably a lot of community centers that have small kitchens like this. I can think of one right off the top of my head. Pemberton is the same size community as Bowen. They have a beautiful community center. They have a community kitchen. We had a tour of it. We were up there last year. Why? Let's just call a couple places, see maybe how they do it.
Action item.
I love calling Pemberton. I'm happy to call them and ask them how they run their community kitchen.
Pick a place each, or Sarah's gonna be able to call in.
I love to call people.
What's the example you said?
You were in the.
Oh, academic, well, it's because I was visualizing
Yeah,
their
yeah.
hall from all the soccer tournaments we went to.
Oh, yeah.
Does it call Pemberton and a couple others?
Yeah, we have a big list of like smaller community centers we've spoken to when we were first opening this building, just figuring out rec stuff. So I go back to that list and remember which ones are around our size and call a couple of them.
That's very thanks.
Yeah,
Crazy.
and it reminds me of earlier this year.
And then are you guys gonna be in conjunction with your kitchen use policy work and the concession policy work, or that was just?
Yeah, I think they do sort of go, I mean, they go a little bit hand in hand in that, you know, the use of the space is there, whether or not it's like prescribed use of the space is like a concession policy, but I do think they do go together and be happy to work with that
Okay.
and see how they integrate.
So I think we know what we're doing for this one. We're 15 minutes behind, so I'd like to move on to the courtesy parking if that's okay.
Sure.
Yeah.
Are we okay with it? Sorry.
Yeah.
Courtesy parking, so one of the accessibility requests that has come in several times from community is the amount of parking in general, but also the amount of parking for folks who may have mobility issues and can't navigate coming up the hill or long walks or things like that. Dropping off and picking up isn't always a viable option. Transit is also not always a viable option for some folks.
Yeah.
So one of the suggestions was just add more accessible parking, which sounds like a great idea, but unfortunately we can't do that if the spots aren't actually accessible to the accessible regulations, right? It's actually worse to say that a spot is accessible when it's not. Got it. So to help with that, the thought is to have some temporary courtesy spots for folks with possible mobility issues or challenges rather. And to have those be per event. So that, because not every event has the same demographic show up to it, so therefore not every event would need the same amount of courtesy spots. So one of the thoughts was to have it be part of the rental process. So when it's like asking how many tables do you need, we can also say, do you think your event will require more than the 2 accessible spots we have here? Would you possibly want? Can't remember, you worded it better than I think on the sheet already. And then this just sort of goes over like how that will be managed. So we would need to know, for one, from the renter with enough time to do so. But that would be during the rental process. There would be a maximum limit because we do have to also acknowledge that there, even if there is one event here, there are other events that happen at the same time, especially on Fridays when, there may be a show in the theater, but there still could be programming and the weight room, the fitness center, also open. So acknowledging that there will be other people in the building that may not be connected to the event. And not moving them, like not just picking what spot you want to be a courtesy spot. We will have, likely it'll be the front spots here on the front of the building. They're the most easily accessible. They're also the easiest to set up and to maintain and manage on our side. If we do decide, like, so say there are two really large competing events and we're, the community center is like, it's going to be really hard all around. We need to be able to say, we need to restrict it a little bit because we have this. Not reserving spots. I think it would be a very difficult managing and administrative thing to say, I'll reserve the spot for this person specifically for specific individuals anyways. So these spots are priority spots, but they're not reserved for a specific person. I think that we don't want to get into the business of reserving people. And then we can't change the current accessible spots into anything else. And I think logistically, it's just easier for us, for my crew, for the custodial crew to set these up. That's why we would need to know beforehand, because we would want to avoid people coming in saying, well, where are the extra spots? And it's like, well, you didn't tell us you needed the extra spots. And then it's on our custodians to hustle and try to figure that out in the middle of it. And also on the renter too, to be like, oh my God, why isn't this here? What happened here? So just being very clear about the needs for each event. And that's all those procedures.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
Some of my questions are the amount of extra spots that we should make available. So there are 10 spots on the front face of this building. One of them is already accessible. So leaving 9 standard size spots. Depending on the event, it's, there are a lot of people that come to some events that there are lots of those needs for those spots. If we did do 10 at the front, that's a quarter of the spots in the whole facility that would be held or prioritized for people with mobility challenges. Is that a good amount? We don't have to go up to that amount, but that could be the maximum request. Do we want to set a maximum request that's actually less than that? What seems reasonable? And also, like, just logistically, how do we store that many signs and have those many signs and all that sort of stuff? To me, personally, I think doing all those front 10 is a lot. It's a quarter, and there definitely are some events that would use those right away.
And it still won't be enough.
It still won't be. Yeah.
And other events won't be, yeah.
Yeah.
So did you, were you looking for some input?
Just like if anybody's read any questions, any input on it, something that doesn't seem right, something that's missing, something that is could be better.
Yeah, thank you. I think that Samantha did a very good effort in this in terms of any volunteers that were coming for events, for the Hearth events, asking staff and volunteers to park away from the property.
Yeah.
And that we got permission from Bix to do so. So I think if anything, there needs to be some kind of standardization in terms of asking anyone that can park away from the property, that anyone that's working or volunteer, the 9 of events. And then I'm wondering if the bigger events that you're saying might need more of the signs or need a little bit of traffic direction, if those events are being asked to have a parking volunteer, somebody that's got a high vis vest and that knows the property and that can help with a little bit of that overflow that possibly might happen. So if that's given in terms of a list of their suggested volunteers.
Yeah, I think that'd be a great idea to remind renters
Each time.
Yeah, each time to say, you know, this is a challenge, if you have somebody that could help.
Even the non-busy events that make it standard for staff and volunteers to park away from the parking here.
Well, for the most part, staff isn't here during events. And staff does.
Any applicable parkers that can park away.
I know as a user who's dealt with this a lot this year, we always send out an email to people or it's part of the event, right? Saying
Yeah.
please park elsewhere.
Yeah.
Like, you know, from a mobility perspective.
Right. That just sort of
Yeah.
become part of the languaging that, you know, the parking is tough.
But I don't think a group like Toady, we could have a dedicated person on parking. Just, we've got people backstage.
Yeah,
and
I'm
all that sort of
wondering,
stuff.
it's a question too. I ask it as a question, right?
And I think too, for our, you know, the typical person coming to one of our shows, yeah, could have mobility challenges as well too. And one of the other things is Bowen is notorious for people buying tickets last minute. So if we set a cap for like, must be, you know, like a specific number booked 14 days in advance or something like that, we probably haven't sold half our tickets by that point for a specific show. So I would try to tighten that timeline up as close to the date as possible and help us. I know it's hard though, right? Like finding that balance. Or we just say to you like, hey, we're gonna turn 6 into it, and that's just what's gonna be it. And cool, first come, first serve. But I mean, I get emails and phone calls all the way leading up to the moment we go on stage of people looking for parking and stuff like that. And I just can't handle it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I'll just add, I agree. I think that you've come up with a really good plan there, Lee. And I think honestly for Hearth shows, if there was 4 spots in total, including the existing permanent one that you've got there, so 3 more spots or 4 more spots, and just do that as a default for each event, I'd be very, very happy with that.
Sienna.
I also think that we should really emphasize, like whether it's in the email or in the tickets or however people are finding out that there are these additional spots, like really emphasize that they're temporary and that they can't be guaranteed for other events. Because even for the one Hearth show that had those signs out for Ballet BC, Rec got 2. But it was a phone call and then somebody walking in saying, why aren't the accessible spots here? There are so many on Saturday and now there aren't for the movie, and why aren't they there? And I think that no matter who's hosting the event, a lot of people see Rec and the people at the front desk as the people to complain to and the people who are making these decisions. And I know that it will be more, and that's just the nature of Bowen. So finding a way to like truly emphasize that these are not guaranteed, they are temporary. And then also giving Rec the support and like the, I guess, language to explain to people, and maybe like, I don't know, a way to direct people so that we aren't getting upset at.
And at the same time too, we're getting complaints. And it's like, sorry, there's nothing we can do about the restrictions on seating, for example. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe to that end, that could be part of our publicity for any big events, which is please ride share, please walk if you can. Or, it's already done, hey? Yeah, anybody that wants to launch a taxi service.
Not gonna happen. People
You know, is it worth this group just establishing a number for events, and that way it's consistent and everybody knows every time there's 5 spots total or 6 spots total, period, for
It's not just-
anything that happens in the theater?
It's not just about theater events though, like it's people who come to theater events and then they come the following week for a fitness class or a Sky, or I guess Sky Talks in the theater, but for a council meeting or for like a big committee of the whole meeting. They come, those spots aren't there. They're like, well, they're here for every performance I've ever been to and now they're not here. And there's, we had like 50 people at a council meeting a couple months ago, had to have overflow in the theater kind of thing. Like it's not just about theater events.
Interesting.
So that sort of sounds like we need permanent,
Yeah.
But they're not.
which is
Yeah.
not every.
Well, if I'm going to Rocky Horror Picture Show in like silver thigh high boots up to here, stilettos. I would never go into a handicap parking spot if someone needed it, but I don't know that anybody at Rocky Horror Picture Show needed it. So I would like that spot so I don't break my ankle.
Right.
Right?
For sure, but the good thing about it being a courtesy spot is there's nothing enforceable about it. It's just you being a good person saying, I'll leave that for the next person who might need it. if I'm that person who needs it, because in 2 minutes, the show is in 2 minutes and this spot is here, like, there's no ticket for it.
I think that's the best part about the courtesy spots. It just encourages people who are getting to the building first to maybe not take those spots. It leaves those spots open a little bit longer for somebody who maybe couldn't get here like an hour and a half before the event.
I feel like it's the opposite.
Oh,
So
really?
Only the 2 events that I've done, the first event, I could not believe how early people arrived towards the volunteer appreciation event. Sort of panicked, like, okay, you guys have to go into the courtyard, we're not set up yet. And then this last one, oh my God, like 45 minutes early. When there's already a 45-minute or an hour little mingling before the event. So I feel like they're coming to get good parking spots.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
coming here to
I
get
think you're
parking
right.
spots, and it's stressful when you're, all those last minute things are happening and people just start flooding in. So. I don't think they're like, oh, I'm gonna come early and park way at the other end.
Yeah, true. No real good solution.
I mean,
That's why we just gotta make a thing. and see what happens.
yeah, at this point, it feels like we have to try something. You know, because there are very legitimate needs.
Yeah,
Absolutely in the community, and I believe that a lot of people are. Think of those spaces, like, I'll come back to that one if I have to. I think so. There, other than somehow building a parking garage, I don't know how else we can get it.
This is never gonna be perfect.
It's always gonna be a struggle, and it
Yeah.
has been, and you know, it's,
Maybe that can also be part of, that review when you're calling about the kitchens, because we've commented like King Meek, the parking is so far away from there. There must be other facilities that don't have tons of parking.
Yeah.
Included in our messaging.
Yeah, true.
I'll just echo what Fraser was saying, that it sounds to me like this needs to be more of a permanent solution, no? Like, could it be a situation where you just designate 4 spots total? Including the mobility one that you've got right now, and call it a day, and then it's just the same for everything and you won't get those complaints at rec anymore?
Well, there are currently 2, so I'm not sure if adding 2, 3, 4, like I'm not,
What's the magic number? I mean,
yeah.
I guess
I think
that's
it's
the
gonna change
question.
the
What's
the thing too.
magic number?
And is there a rule? Like what's the ratio between, you know,
we
accessible?
that.
We meet the rule.
We need to rule.
We're going.
I don't know if there's like a provincial guideline or something.
There is.
Absolutely.
Well, actually, I think it's a local bylaw. So, yeah, it's
So-
not a perfect solution.
But maybe it is that we should try this temporary situation, try it out, see if it's meeting the needs, because we can go from temporary to installing it permanently. Can't really go the other way around.
Yeah.
Of doing a permanent change and then retracting it. So I think there's also an element of our islanders becoming familiar with the space and knowing the challenges, so they're not showing up 5 minutes before and then freaking out because they can't find. So there is some of that starting to build.
Yeah.
But I thank you, Samantha, for telling people to park elsewhere.
Yeah, that's great.
And I think, like, if we are going to proceed with fleshing out this a little bit more, maybe it is a reduction of the business of the number of days required in advance. I think this will not be something like permits, alcohol license, for example, that where Sienna's having to call people repeatedly asking for the documents. Like, you would not be calling people to confirm whether or not they need this.
Yeah.
The other thing that I think would be really important to add into here and for us to decide is, what is the time frame in advance of the event by which they're being put up? And that's clearly understood.
Like at 1 hour.
Like how many minutes before the event starts is that designated parking sign going out?
Yeah.
And that needs to be part of the
45 minutes.
understanding, right?
Right, so what if, like, it could be full right now and then starting
Yeah.
today at 7.
Yeah.
So just go, you move your car.
That's a great point. Thank you, yeah.
I don't know what the answer is to that. An hour. That's a tough one.
is.
Because even for the event, the one event where we needed the whole lower parking lot for the all wheels, the skate event, we had to put it up the night before, and we still had somebody.
Yeah, somebody who's left their car. Whose car is this?
What'd you do with that car?
It became part of the event.
Great way to be.
Decorate it, perfect.
Yeah, there were a few
Wow.
sticky notes for that. Like joking, but
Okay, so for today, what do we want to do more on this?
I was mostly just looking for input, and I'm probably moving ahead on signs and stuff soon.
Okay.
So whether or not we do just want to do 4, 7, 9.
I think I think you need the flexibility. You know, if it's a sky event, then you're gonna need the 9, for example. If it's
Yeah.
not, then, you know, if it's a high school
Right.
dance or something like that, then you're might be fine with just the 1,
Mhm.
maybe 2. I think we need to have that flexibility, so if that's, and maybe they just say temporary, you know.
that's a good idea. The signage actually saying temporary.
Yeah, there are probably a lot.
Well, it's already, so the sign that I'm probably going to go ahead with, it says, at the top of it says priority persons.
Way to find it.
Give it that.
Thanks, everyone.
See ya.
ya.
Thanks.
I have one.
No, I made one today because I had to change it.
Thanks, Sienna.
Yeah.
Thanks.
But yeah, so priority, persons with limited mobility. Right? So priority doesn't say reserved, doesn't say only.
Yeah.
Doesn't say any of those things.
And we're relying.
But
on
it says who it is intended for, right? And it doesn't. So to add temporary priority.
You're right, you're right,
with
you're right.
limited mobility is.
The only way it's temporary is just take people.
For sure, so when we
have
take
that
it away, people
expectation.
know.
Yeah.
So is it a sandwich board kind of sign
No, it'll be like sign
on the
on
wall?
a pole. Temporary posts, yeah, with like a weighted base. And there'll be lots of it.
Can you have 2, like have that one and then another one under on top of it that says temporary?
Yeah, we could. We could.
But Sienna's not here, we can just let the rec staff know.
Yeah. No, I'm not gonna say it.
But it's obviously temporary too, if it's on a temporary
Yeah,
post.
that's exactly it.
Like
That's
a
what it is.
plastic base kind of.
Yeah, it's like on a heavy rubber base.
Yeah,
like a plastic
yeah.
post.
It's clearly a temporary situation.
I mean, I'm hoping
Just
that
because
people
it is.
will learn, just like we learn everything. You're running on the ferry when you need to go, you know, fill in the gaps and all this sort of stuff, but there's still always gonna be those conversations as to how much, yeah. We're never gonna win. So,
It's a really hard situation,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
I think.
Put it on social media, let people know, you know.
Yeah.
Culture.
or again,
You
it
have to
goes in
get
the
used
email
to
for
it.
your renter,
Get
your
used to it.
user group sends
Yeah.
out their, in their ticketing or something, we will
Yeah.
have X number of, there will be priority spots for people with mobility
Yeah.
challenges.
It's just a culture. of-
First come,
people
first
get used
serve,
to.
this is it. And cool.
Cool.
Yeah,
It's that it's, hey, Meet does have taxis and Ubers, that's the difference.
yeah.
And yeah, and transit.
Yeah.
a little bit more. Thanks, yeah. Okay,
Yeah, let's just do that.
so I will get an amount.
Yeah.
While we were in here, Molly got a call about accessible parking.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
It's a real thing.
I was inundated,
Yeah.
inundated during our crossing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Um,
it's good.
okay.
I wanna help people. Okay.
And those are the easy ones, so it's the
Yeah.
next one. Oh,
That's your policy one, isn't it? Where are we
no.
at?
Okay, sorry, just for that item then, I
Yeah.
have just 2 notes you provided, or Julian sort of summed up, and you've got your notes. For the rest of the conversation, I don't have any actions there.
Well, I'm ordering soon, so. I think
You want,
starting with 7. And
to have,
to have, which would make a total of 9. which would make it about 20%, just over 20% of the slots would be for,
Which allows for some flexibility.
Yeah.
I like it.
I like it too. Sounds great.
Yeah. Thank you,
Next
Lee.
thing. Next.
Discount or free events framework. These.
So this was another, and Sam will request, so this is another really big topic to talk about. And I do have to apologize that I think I accidentally gave the wrong. Well, I lost my notes, my edited version of what was sent out today, unfortunately. So this this table I had essentially gotten rid of because I don't know that it fully applies to us. And it, yeah, anyways.
I'll display the shame.
Yeah, please. Anyways, what we talked about was, you know, we've all said it obviously makes sense for some certain rentals to be discounted or free, picking schools or First Nations, other things that, you know, just feel like they should not have a charge to them. Putting some criteria around that and how those decisions are made is probably the hardest challenge. So this whole thing is saying, you know, who gets what, how many times, or if at all. So what was sent out is sort of an attempt at setting criteria for the decision making. One of the things that Sam actually brought up was having a specific limited annual amount of discounted events, whether it's 5 or whatever it ends up being. Also limiting how much one group can have in a year also. And then creating a little flexibility in like, not flexibility, a little rigidity, I guess, in like how they get picked, or what kind of event is to be discounted. So that's things like things that are not for profit, things that are culturally or you know, there's no charge for them. They are local community groups that are doing something for the whole community at no charge, that is a benefit to everybody. Things like blood drives and things like that, things that are non-revenue that are a benefit for the community. And then trying to figure out from there, trying to figure out how that gets managed, which is the hardest part, I think.
So we're not throwing it on CM's booking person.
Yeah, I think it needs to have a very clear set of criteria and oversight.
And like how many a year that can be.
Yeah.
Again, how do you pick a number?
Same thing we've done with the last one. Exactly.
Yeah.
I like the idea for sure of limiting, so like if one group isn't constantly doing free stuff, and you get to a point where it's seen as taking advantage. Like that's
Exactly.
agree with you.
Let's say it's one group who does a fundraiser, and you know, the majority of their events that they do are going to be here anyways. That kind of thing, right? Like there is a benefit to those sort of things. For the group and for the community is a whole thing. And then there's obviously like schools. They're not celebrations of life, like those are harder to. Those are the ones that feel hard to charge somebody for. Yeah, it was a very difficult conversation. Like it's a really hard thing to talk about because you know we are responsible to the building, we're responsible to the community, and you know everybody wants a deal, right?
And we don't want to undercut the other rental
Exactly. Yeah, that's
spaces on the island, right?
Yeah. So I mean, I think it's a real it's a real hard thing to work on.
Because the space is never free.
Never.
That's a tricky thing.
Yeah.
There's always a cost to the hours
Yeah.
put in.
So are you envisioning like a committee is the one that decides?
I think, well, I don't know, but I would guess that council would have having input on this because it's about.
I think so.
But what's that? Anything you charge us to go into fees policy, like
Yeah.
bylaw, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think they would want to approve this.
Oh, the framework, but would council be the ones approving?
No,
This person gets a free one, yeah.
well, I don't know, maybe they would, I don't know, but I don't think we
I don't
want
think so.
that. I think that's a
Not
really hard thing
doing.
to do.
Yeah. And they don't meet it that often either, so.
And for some things, so that, you know, the time, yeah, exactly, the time constraints. But I guess right now it's trying to figure out criteria on how to choose that and possibly like how many we would do. I don't know, it's
Incredibly difficult.
Mm-hmm.
So I off the bat, for me, like open to the public and not charging a fee for a minute admission makes perfect sense. The comment about or very minimal fees solely to cover event costs. Then you're starting to get into possible territory of how you can argue it. I don't know.
Yeah, that feels difficult to me too.
Yeah,
But I think there could be times when. Like
Well,
you
it's-
hire somebody to be a magician or something, or I don't know.
Samantha?
Yeah, my feeling is that it would probably, if we could fall in line with what's happening with rental right now. So for example, if an event takes place during open hours for the community center, there's a custodian who's on staff and they're paid to be there. If we're doing an event outside of standard custodial hours, then we're paying for that extra custodial time. So I would be inclined to kind of judge it according to what's already established right now for policy. That would make the most sense to me.
Yeah, it couldn't cost us money, you mean, right? Like it
Right,
couldn't cost.
exactly. I mean,
Yeah.
the municipality can't go into the hole on cost to host these things. So ideally, if you've got a nonprofit who's doing a blood drive or they're doing some sort of an event that there's no charge for, they should do it within standard community center hours.
Yeah.
If they start to get outside of the regular hours or need more of the services that then would impact cost or resources for the municipality, they would have to cover that. So I think, that part I think we can do fairly easily. I think the other part is trickier, which is just that, again, to Lee's point, that criteria of how many of these and how do we run people through criteria to see if their event meets the needs? And I guess the other thing too is how many of these are there? Because it'd be rotten if we designated 6, but 10 people need it.
well, again, but like with everything, we're gonna be evolving as we go on. And say we kept 5 or 6 or whatever available per year, and we
Yeah.
find out only 3 people were asking. Well, that helps us, or we find out people are 10, maybe next year we make a change, but I think we pick a number. That's it per year, and maybe the GMC decides on a case by case basis who, again, assuming council's looking.
Yeah, and I did this at a nonprofit that I worked at ages ago. It was an art gallery, and so there was lots of requests from local nonprofits to use the space for all kinds of nonprofit activities, and it was overwhelming, and managing it was a lot. So the second year that I was there in January, I put out a call to all our local partners and said, we have X amount available. I think I did 7 the last time. We have 7 of these slots available. First come, first serve. This is for the whole year. And once they're spoken for, they're spoken for. And we had some basic rules and regulations in order to vet people in. And then it was kind of a done deal.
The worry with that would be the unanticipated stuff that pops up of a community urgent need, perhaps. So maybe it was like 1 per quarter.
Hmm.
So not everything's booked up right at the beginning of each year. Things can happen as they happen. That's why.
So a couple of things that I would think might be important in the criteria. One thing, maybe this is not an option for Friday and Saturday nights.
Yeah.
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 And the other thing to look at is this person asking this of us because it's free when they could use another venue? Or is this the only space that really works for their desired function? Because I'm concerned about the other venues
Yeah.
and their response to this.
Yeah, I completely agree. And then, it's like, okay, so when it comes to case by case, I mean, for example, us, Tony, we are a not-for-profit society, we are registered. But would we do this? No. Because that doesn't make any sense. So, yeah, really clear guidelines right off the bat, I think are important.
Isn't that about selling tickets?
I agree. I don't see the Hearth
Yeah.
trying to take advantage of this either. I do think it's,
That's done. Yeah. But I do think we also need that flexibility that if something does pop up, if we are talking about a celebration of life for somebody that there, perhaps there wasn't funds out there or something like that, we need to be able to be flexible throughout the year to handle those types of things.
So then would it switch to being only things that are unexpected? Right? Like, or do we want to leave space for fundraising, for the school to come over and have their band play, or like
It's that example.
No.
When they charge us for every minute we're there.
right?
Okay, so
Like
the
a
school board
right?
have money, this is more like emergency needs.
Yeah, so then that's what I mean, right? It's either a slippery slope or it's like too hard to get to kind of thing. I don't know.
Policy on it. I
It
think
is.
it's
Really
strict
tough.
policy for
It
it would
is.
be necessary because otherwise you're gonna get a lot of people applying.
And then obviously the big question is who makes the decision, right?
Yeah. It becomes enemy number one.
We do have like on some of the documentation that comes around my desk is quite a robust list of criteria, and then the last one's always for whatever council wants.
Right.
We'll put cider in there, so just clear.
Well, and then, potentially, I don't really see council wanting to involve with this. But
I know, yeah.
No, but if it was like a once a year thing, yeah, I don't think.
I think I'd be inclined to start with, again, I'd like Lee's whole idea about it's tough to, bring the horse back once it's bolted kind of thing. Maybe start with a really strict criteria of not fundraisers, community events that don't have a charge that benefit segments of the community or the whole community. Let's make it kind of strict and say to people, you have to tick these 10 things in order to apply. And, there has to be a bit of self-governance to it before they apply. Like, here's who can apply and here's the boxes to tick. And if you tick all the boxes, please submit a paragraph of information about your engagement, your event, your whatever the case may be. And then let's see how it goes for a year. And if you want to expand it and add fundraisers or school things, or you can do that. But to start with, I like the idea of blood drives or emergency management things, or any of these other things that you guys would know better than I do, the kinds of things that regularly occur on the island.
Jillian.
It just occurred to me, maybe we need to build in some alignment with the community grant program. Right? Because the municipality has a community grant program and that, people request those funds. There's a small group that meets and it's within policy and application and, and it's distributed that way. Maybe this needs to be the same thing. Maybe it needs to be using all the structure that's been built for that.
Yeah.
Your meetings.
Samantha, I want to add something onto what you just said though, too, about like from an emergency management perspective. I think an emergency is outside of this. Like if there was a major emergency in a bunch of houses.
If the
broke down or
municipality
something.
needed to use this space, they just need this.
Yeah,
space.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
that
talking
would
about
supersede. No, this.
I'm talking about like emergency planning. So if
Yeah,
once
sure.
a year you want to
Yeah,
do an earthquake preparedness day and
Yeah.
everybody comes down and
Yeah.
learns how to build a kit or,
Yes, yeah.
things along those lines.
Did we do that with emergency operations center?
That's what I said. Yeah.
I mean, that's a good point about the community grant program.
Yeah.
Like there is sort of a structure.
There's a structure there.
Procedure there already. And still, I think we would still want. Would we still want some criteria?
I think
that-
so. I think
that
we
is
still
very
need really,
specific to here?
I think so.
You're not saying hand it over to the community grant.
Not necessarily,
Okay.
but I think we need to look at their structure and framework and policy to help inform this.
I will advise that they, it's not a committee anymore, but that's the framework still there, but, and they get an ad hoc panel, but what they do is they have a fairly intricate scoring system. Each member fills in their score, submits it to the finance officer, she compiles it all together in an Excel spreadsheet, and then they use it as a starting point.
Hmm.
And I've struggled with that when I first started working with that group. It's like, well, that's the score, and it would change in the conversation.
Right.
So that is speaking to this conversation, I think, that,
Mhm.
yeah.
Right, but I guess then the only other thing is that sort of goes back to that, like. Everybody puts their application in at the beginning of the year, I mean, that instead of.
Yeah.
Things comes up,
Mhm.
but maybe there's still room in that framework to figure that out.
Maybe it's twice a year.
Can I ask a question? It's Jamie. What kind of inquiries are we getting about this? Has there been?
Yep.
And-
Yeah,
and
there has been local groups.
Like examples of maybe this will give us a better idea of who's looking for these discounts.
We have to be careful on protecting
Yeah.
privacy and things like that for that. There's a way you can do it without.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, forget that. Forget I said
Yeah.
that.
It's certainly been local groups that have asked. Yeah, I don't know how else I can clarify it more.
Without us moving to a closing.
Yeah.
Well, maybe it's takeaway work too. It's
Yeah.
not gonna happen right now.
Yeah, none of these.
So maybe it sounds like we need to, connect with what that content and framework and policy is for the community grants. Tighten up the criteria. It sounds like we're all kind of in support of this, right? Just
Yeah.
can't figure out how to do it.
Is there another one about the comparator, technical comparators?
Let's add that to the list.
Yeah, three
Rolling other
different
devices.
bullet points, you
Yeah,
can
that's
vote
a-
anyway,
that's
so
a
just the
point.
1, 2, 3.
Jamie had something up there. Message to us.
Oh, sorry.
Did you?
This is also blowing. I'm still out here.
So Lee,
Oh,
this may have been left to you
Fine.
last time a little bit. Oh, no, maybe older.
So there's a subcommittee that's still working on this, essentially.
Yeah, there can be. We only met once.
Okay.
Mm.
Well, I like the idea of call to Pemberton, for example, is to say, how do you deal with this?
Mhm.
Do some research.
Yeah. That's a good
Report back.
So what happens when you leave the room, see how that?
Yeah, there you go.
Turn your back on us.
You know what? I'm happy to continue the conversation as a subcommittee if you are, Lee. Like,
Yeah.
I think that sort of makes sense. I think that you can see why we didn't arrive at a tidy
yeah.
solution to present to you all today. But
Well, maybe let the next steps be governed by what we find out other community centers do.
Great.
Sound good? Okay,
So
Lee, are we good to move on to 6-1?
Sorry.
I'm done.
Okay.
the subcommittee is Sam, Kim, Lee.
There's special guest Sienna.
Yeah, I might, I can replace Sienna on this one. I think it involves some things that maybe I a little closer
Sure.
familiarity with.
Sienna's input was really valuable in the cancellation policy.
Absolutely, yeah.
Which is what the majority of.
Yeah. This is more conceptual as opposed to implementing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, new business. Sorry.
Nope, I
No.
don't think so, that's just sort of placeholder.
Okay, action items. A review from last time. That's that last page of the booklet.
They're dispersed.
Right?
Yeah, they're within the minutes there.
Oh, no, this week was published. Okay. No, there's also a, compiled, but it looks like the wrong page published. Okay. Samantha and Sienna discussed energizing birth and BIM booking presenting processes. Support users, minimize staff time, and report back to the AMC.
Hang on a sec here. Just looking for the action items here.
It's like a.
Sorry, action items are at the bottom of the agenda, yes?
Mhm.
Action items, here we go. Santa Valley discussed synthesizing heart BIM bug. It's still underway.
Okay, ongoing. And then the subcommittee to discuss cancellation, rescheduling, discount, that is what we were just talking about, and that is still gonna be ongoing though. Done. And we'll do again.
We'll do it again. Yeah, we also we have to give an update on the like living room courtyard rental add-on.
Were we going to talk about cancellation policy?
Yeah,
Policy. I
We're
thought
done. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Sam.
Yeah, we talked about it. So we did have a full subcommittee meeting. We talked about cancellation policies as well. We can get into it here if you guys want to get into it now. I don't feel that, and Lee, correct me if I'm wrong, but do you feel like we walked away feeling like we want to recommend any of
No.
those to this group?
No, I think there was still more work to do. I mean, there were some really great ideas, but the conversation, again, it's like another one of those, challenging conversations. But there were some good ideas. And I know that Sienna has been considering it further too. So I think we would meet one more time before we would want to bring anything. Okay.
Yeah, I think so as well, because we're trying to protect the municipality while also working with kind of the constituents that are using the facilities. And what we know is a lot of them are nonprofits. They don't have a lot of money. They don't have money in advance to be paying more deposits and paying full bills. But at the same time, we have to protect the community center and reduce exposure on cancellations, et cetera, et cetera. So finding the happy balance in all of that it's a challenging thing. And that's what all the discussions I think we're really hinging on.
There has been progress.
Yeah. So again, I think that's for our subcommittee. So we'll continue to talk about it. And if we can reach some consensus with the subcommittee and I think it is wise that you're part of these discussions moving forward, Jillian, because I think that might just, you'll bring the profile to help us kind of make some decisions, I guess. Yeah. So perhaps what we should do is schedule another one I'm happy to do it in December, but we'd have to talk to the group about when to do the next subcommittee meeting so we can continue the conversations.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I don't think we should pick day to day because we've got too many people missing, so.
Just for the sub-
Oh, sorry, subcommittee.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's this subcommittee, so we just have to reach out to Kim Seledy as well and see what his timing is like. So I'm happy to do that. I can reach out to the group and we can schedule another subcommittee meeting.
Okay, and then the next one was the Hearth website, and maybe was it to be a little bit more robust calendar of the entire programming?
Well, we added the link to the municipal website as discussed, and we changed the placement of it on the site as discussed as well.
Yeah, I saw that. Thank you.
Sorry, I just
Yeah,
saw
you know,
okay.
yeah.
I did it right away.
Oh,
So if you go down the calendar.
No, you click on at the top, like if you went.
Just to add, we added a very large banner at the top of the newsletter that goes out every week. So the first thing people see is visit the Bowen Island website for more information on events in the community center.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thank
so
you.
thank you for
Yeah,
that.
we put a large link there. I will say that, everybody kind of wishes there was one spot where everything goes. But it just is not working out to be a thing that's easy to do. So I'm just asking for everyone to have a little bit of patience with this process right now. And I think you'll see too, once we launch the 26th season here, you'll see how fulsome these calendars become and how they can work with each other. So maybe just a little bit of patience on the process with these changes for a month or two and see how we all feel about it after that.
Okay.
Mhm.
Patience credit. Okay, and then the provide final draft of the production intake form to the JMC.
Yeah, so for me, I need to go through a bit of a learning curve to do this. I was under the impression that Angel, our marketing person, was pretty good with putting together fillable PDFs, and unfortunately, it's not something that she does. She doesn't have the software for it, and she doesn't have that ability. So it's something that I have to find the time to learn how to do and produce myself. So again, what we're looking at doing is formalizing a production intake form, because right now Sienna has got like a checklist that she verbally goes over with people to get the information for the events. I've created kind of an event overview piece for the stuff that we do. But what I'm trying to do is bridge the gap here between my documentation and Sienna's and put together a fillable PDF that Sienna can send to anybody who's renting the space, and they can complete it and provide all of the content for her that way. So apologies that that's not done, but again, I've got to figure out how to actually create those PDFs.
Yeah, let me check with my team if we can help with that, like just that formatting and putting it in that fillable PDF form. We might be able to help with that, like once we get together and have all the content figured out, right? So
yeah, and that would be great, Jillian, because it really is more of a municipal thing. We've got a fillable PDF that comes back to the Hearth website through the back end of the Hearth website for some of the stuff we're doing to promote anything that's happening at the theater that's arts adjacent. So Angel was able to create that, but we don't have the ability to do the fillable PDF.
okay.
With
So
that
you're gonna say
content
that-
coming back to Sienna, of course.
I will check if we can do that. Because that's just a formatting kind of thing. If we
It's
have
just
the
the
software.
format. So I've got the content for the form, but it's just
Okay.
really having someone assist with the formatting. And I just
Okay.
have not had a chance, honestly, to like sit down and do a YouTube tutorial or something.
Okay, well, let me see if we can help.
Why does it have to be fillable PDF?
Well, because what that does is we're trying to cut down on how much time Sienna is spending touching these clients who rent the theater. So what's happening is she's having to talk to them multiple times. They're not providing all the content that she needs. So having one form that people can complete where they understand, oh, I need to know the answers to this question before we can book.
So
well,
on our
it's-
website, we just like the event that I just did, you can go up into the website, fill out the forms on our site, and then press export, and it'll send you an Excel sheet that replies to those questions.
Fantastic. So what we probably need is a more fulsome version of that. And if you've got that, it sounds like you've got the same thing going on over there to be able to bring information back to you that we have with the Hearth website. So it would be a similar version to that. It would not be it's a next level inquiry. So the form that you have right now, where you're grabbing that information, it's really more of a who are you? What are you trying to do? When are you trying to do it? The one that we're doing is much more fulsome, much more complete, and addresses the bulk of the production questions that Sienna would have.
So if you have the content, do you want to share that content and then Jillian?
I'm happy to share the content if you think you've got someone at the municipality who can assist with formatting.
I'll see, we'll have a look, see what we can do. But just to be clear though, we're talking about a fillable PDF. We're not talking about a fillable form on the website.
Correct.
Which is-
Ideally, it's
yeah.
fillable. It's a fillable PDF with the
Okay.
content going back to Sienna. This is a tool. This is a tool for Sienna that we're just assisting with.
Well, I will get back to you, see what we can find resource wise.
Okay, perfect. And if I have to sit down and make some time to learn how to do it, then I will. I've purchased Adobe, so I've got the software. I'm paying monthly for it now. I just haven't had a chance to actually figure out how to do the form.
Right. I have no idea, so.
Okay. Well, let me know, and between all of us, we'll get it sorted out.
The skills exist in this building.
Hey,
Okay, now assigning actions from the meeting. Here's a review. Tell me now if you think I'm making this up. Programming subcommittee meeting, Sienna, Sasha, Jillian, and Samantha meet to discuss program.
Yeah, correct. I'll set up a subcommittee meeting.
Okay, Samantha to set up, so. And then Samantha is gonna share a draft concession plan with the committee in about 2 weeks, and that later became possibly touching base with Lee re kitchen policy, and those similarities align with Lee.
Yep.
Sienna's calling Pemberton and a couple others regarding many things now. Lee and Sam, the kitchen thing, Lee's gonna order the signs, gonna order 7. And the subcommittee, is gonna be, yeah, the, cancellation discount. Yeah. Okay,
Question period from the public. Anybody there?
no public.
Okay, well, we will determine our next meeting via email. Anybody like to move to adjourn? Maybe. Bye. So we, thank you so much.
Thanks, Samantha, Jamie.
Thanks, Sam,
Thank
Jamie.
you.
Okay, thanks, everybody. We'll see you.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.